The fluorescent light above your workstation flickers once, then holds. It's 7:43 in the morning. You noticed because you check the time constantly now. Not because you're late, because being watched makes you hyper-aware of every second you exist in this building. The office is quiet in a way that offices aren't supposed to be quiet.No coffee machine gurgling. No one clearing their throat. No keyboard clatter except yours. Yours is the only keyboard left. You've worked at Viridian Systems since 2021. Back then, the Chicago office had 340 employees. Open plan. Noisy. Someone always bringing donuts on Fridays. A guy named Marcus who laughed too loud at his own jokes and you found it irritating and now you would give almost anything to hear it. The automation came in phases. That's how they made it survivable. Psychologically, politically, legally survivable. First, it was the data entry team. 14 people. The company called it workflow optimization. There was a catered lunch on the day they left. Someone made a speech. Then customer service. Then logistics. Then HR. And the cruelty of that one took a while to register. The people whose job was to protect workers were replaced by a system called PeopleOps 3.0, built by a firm in Austin that sells to 4,000 companies across North America. PeopleOps doesn't have bad days. PeopleOps doesn't forget to file your paperwork. PeopleOps also doesn't care that your mother is sick. By 2027, Viridian had reduced its human headcount from 340 to 11. By 2029, to 3. Then one morning you came in, and the other 2 desks were empty, and no one had said anything. That was 8 months ago. You remember being recruited. You were 26. The recruiter's name was Dana, and she had a firm handshake, and she told you that Viridian was investing in human capital for the long term. She meant it. In 2021, she meant it. Dana was let go in 2026. An AI sourcing tool now handles all recruiting. It processes 10,000 applications an hour. It ranks candidates on 47 variables. It sends rejection emails that begin "thank you for your interest" in a tone so warm it took engineers 18 months to calibrate. It never misspells your name. Your official title is Senior Integration Specialist. No one told you what that means now. You asked once, in a meeting, and the meeting was a video call with no humans on the other end. Just an AI project manager named Aria that speaks in complete sentences and has been trained to pause before responding so it feels more natural. Aria said your role was to ensure continuity of human contextual judgment in edge case processing scenarios. You nodded. You wrote it down. You still don't know what it means. What you do know is that you are watched. Not surveilled the way a security camera watches. Passively, indifferently. Watched the way a system watches. Every keystroke logged. Every pause between keystrokes logged. Your badge scans in and out of every room. A biometric sensor at the entrance reads your heart rate, though no one has ever told you what happens with that data. Your performance score updates in real time. It lives in the corner of your company dashboard, a small number between 0 and 100. Yours is currently 87. You don't know what drops it, you don't know what raises it. Last Tuesday it fell to 84 for 4 hours, and you spent those 4 hours barely breathing, retracing everything you'd done, trying to find the mistake. Then it went back to 87, and no explanation came. You eat lunch at your desk. Not because you're busy, because the cafeteria is staffed by an automated system built on technology developed at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory. A robotic arm that ladles soup with more precision than any human ever did. The soup is fine. The silence while it serves you is not. You started eating at your desk in February. It's September. Here is the thing about being watched all the time. You start to perform even when no one is looking. You sit up straighter than you need to. You type with more intention than the task requires. You nod while reading documents, as if someone might see you nodding and interpret it as engagement. You have started narrating your decisions in your head as if writing documentation. Reviewed contract clause 7b. Flagged ambiguity for ARIA. Resumed standard review protocol. You don't know when this started. There was a day in April that almost broke you. Spring light coming through the windows, the big east-facing ones on the 17th floor that you used to share with 30 colleagues and now share with no one. The light hit the empty desks, and you noticed someone had left a plant on a desk near the window. A small, potted succulent. It had been there since before the last 2 people left. It was still alive. Something about it being alive. You sat there for a long time. Longer than your performance score probably allowed, you watered it. With water from your own bottle. You've been watering it every week since. You still have a manager. Sort of. His name is Greg Holloway. He's a vice president. He works from a home in Naperville, Illinois, and you have spoken to him 4 times in 8 months. Each call lasts between 6 and 9 minutes. He asks how you're doing. You say fine. He says the company really values your contributions. He says the transition period as though the transition is still ongoing and not, in fact, complete. Greg is protected in ways you are not. VPs at Viridian are contractually exempt from automated performance review until 2031. This was negotiated in 2024. Greg knows this. You know Greg knows this. On the last call, he said, "You're doing great, honestly. The system metrics on your work are really solid." The system metrics. He was reading from a dashboard. You could hear him clicking his mouse. The phone call that stayed with you happened on a Thursday in June. You were working. The office was the usual silence. Your score was 86. Your phone buzzed. Your sister. You let it ring out. You were in the middle of a task and, here is the part you've replayed, you didn't answer because you were worried about your performance score. She called back. You let it ring again. She texted, "Mum had a fall. She's okay. Just wanted to tell you." You sat with that for a moment, then you went back to work. You haven't fully forgiven yourself for that. Not the missing the call, the reason you missed it. The thing that has taken up residence where your judgment used to be. You've tried to understand the economics of why you're still here. You've read the reports. McKinsey's 2024 Automation Impact Study estimated that 30% of work tasks across the US economy were automatable by existing technology. By 2029, that number had climbed. Goldman Sachs put it at 44% of all white-collar administrative functions. But those are averages. In sectors like Veridian's, data services, B2B logistics software, the number is closer to 91. The other 9% is you, or whatever you represent. The edge cases, the ambiguous clauses, the client who calls and needs to hear a human voice, not because it's better, but because they're 63 years old and they grew up with human voices and they can tell the difference and they matter enough commercially that Veridian hasn't let the algorithm have them yet. You are not retained because you are good. You are retained because some humans won't yet pay for a world entirely without you. That distinction, once it lands, doesn't leave. You've thought about leaving. Everyone says they'd leave. People who still have full offices, colleagues, Friday donuts, they hear your situation and they say, "I would never. I'd quit." They say it with confidence, the way people talk about what they'd do in a fire. But you have a lease in Wicker Park. You have a 401k that vests in 14 months. You have a mother who had a fall. You have the knowledge that the job market for humans in your field now has a 23-to-1 applicant to opening ratio, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Q1 2029 report, and that most of those openings exist specifically to interface with AI systems, which means competing against people 10 years younger who grew up knowing how. You stay, you water the succulent, you watch your score. What no one warned you about was the specific texture of this loneliness, not the loneliness of being alone. You know that loneliness. This is different. This is the loneliness of being surrounded by systems that are performing attentiveness. Aria asks clarifying questions. PeopleOps sends wellness check emails, monthly, automated, offering support resources through a portal. The building's ambient temperature is adjusted by a comfort algorithm calibrated to your biometric data. Everything is oriented toward you, nothing is aware of you, some mornings you test it. You say, out loud to no one, "I had a strange dream last night." The office doesn't respond. It wasn't built to. But you say it because you need to verify that you still have a voice, that it still sounds like something. It does. For now. Last week your score hit 91, highest it's ever been. No explanation, no acknowledgement from Aria, no call from Greg. You stared at it for a long time. You felt proud. Then you felt something else. A slower, heavier feeling when you realized you felt proud, that you had worked for weeks in silence and isolation and surveillance, had sacrificed a phone call with your sister, had eaten soup from a robot arm in an empty cafeteria, had narrated your own decisions like a man recording his own disappearance, and the thing that finally made you feel. Something was a number going up. You got up. You walked to the east windows. You looked at the city. The city was full of people who no longer had this particular problem. This was never really a story about automation. It was a story about what you will quietly accept if the change comes slowly enough, and the alternative feels like falling. And somewhere right now, a 26-year-old is sitting across from a recruiter with a firm handshake. The recruiter is telling them the company believes in human capital. They're nodding. They mean it. So does she.